brace yourselves, everybody. We have got some sports card buying opportunities ahead.
You know, when I see a car like this, first thing I do is I say, would you look at this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, would you look at this?
Yeah, well...
Would you look at that?
Yeah, there's a few more blemishes on the car.
Oh, my gosh, just look at it.
The car is not perfect.
Just look at it. Just look at it.
Yeah, well...
What the heck is that?
Let's dive into this thing. Hello to all my sports card collectors, investors, all of my collectibles friends. How are you doing? It is another day. It is another card video. We continue to truck along. Lots of craziness going on in the hobby right now. A lot of good things, some negative things, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of the usual stuff. If you're looking for just about daily sports card and collectibles content, you have come to the right place, my friends. Please hit that subscribe button down below. Stick around, stay a while, grab a chair, hit the like button if you like what you hear, and also don't forget to connect with me on IG at SportsCardDad, and I'm also on the old Twitter machine, the SportsCardDad. Before we get started, I think I'm going to be on a live stream with Neo Cards and Comics and also Flipping Steve. We're just trying to figure out the logistical stuff. Just waiting to hear back, and we will probably get that going tonight. I'm assuming it's probably going to be 9 p.m. Eastern time, roughly. Not sure which channel it's going to be on, but we'll definitely let you know kind of in the socials as we do know, so I'm excited for that. And then also on Brad the Comeback Card Investors channel tomorrow night for our usual weekly off-centered show at 9 p.m. Eastern. Definitely check those out. Special thank you to ComC channel partner, your home for buying, selling, and flipping all the hottest trading cards. Their consignment marketplace is home to over 29 million cards across all sports genres and eras. With a ComC.com account, you can purchase cards from different sellers over time and ship them home together later or immediately reprice them for sale on the ComC marketplace. It's a good time. Go and check out ComC.com. All right, guys, we're seeing a lot of end-of-the-world finance talk, whether you're on sports card YouTube stuff or just YouTube stuff in general, finance stuff. You look at a lot of the larger channels, a lot of the daily headlines are housing market going to oblivion, stock market going to zero, crypto is completely dead. You know, you're seeing a lot of that sort of thing. There is kind of that overall outlook, and it started really in the summertime when the Fed started raising interest rates, and now we're kind of getting to a point where it's really kind of setting in that maybe we're heading into kind of a elongated recession type thing. We are not technically in a recession right now because the unemployment rate is not higher. That's really what it boils down to. Even though production slowed way down, GDP down, we still have pretty decent employment numbers, and that's really kind of that last piece, that last gauge. Once unemployment numbers start to rise, then you start to see more pain, and that is more of a recession, possibly a depression. I don't know what's going to happen. I am not an economist, and even the economists don't know what the hell is going to happen or what's going on, frankly, for that matter.
Didn't fully understand, but we recognize that now.
So we will just have to see how it plays out. But as far as sports cards go, you see a lot of kind of shifting going on. When I watch other content, or I'm paying attention to Facebook groups, or I'm paying attention to all sorts of other IG or whatever it is, I'm seeing a lot of kind of consolidation type stuff. And I'm going to explain kind of what I'm doing right now. I've talked this over with my wife, family, kind of just like talking through a lot of different things. I know if you watch my channel, you know I've kind of made a pretty decent sized play into Stranger Things cards. That's just kind of a fun niche for me that I'm enjoying, and I do believe that it has potential upside. It might not have any upside. It might have downside, but it's just a fun thing for me and my family to partake in. And so that's kind of a niche play that I've gotten into. That's really my non-sports thing. Flippin' Steve, his channel, he likes the music cards. So for him, it's music cards. For Neo Cards and Comics, it's Marvel cards, or he's into, comic books, other things. So everybody's got kind of their non-sports niche. Well, I shouldn't say everybody. A lot of people do. And that one is it for me. I do some Marvel card stuff, and then I also do Stranger Things cards. I just think it's fun. But what I'm going to do over the next 6 months, I've decided. So, and also, let me also kind of precursor to this. I've got family stuff going on too, where I've got a daughter going off to college. I've got 4 kids, so there's always expenses. So there's other things going on as well that I've got to kind of pay attention to. But because I'm not in a massive hurry on a lot of the cards that I'm targeting, and what I mean by that is I'm not collecting black finite 1 of 1s. I'm not after gold prisms numbered out of 10. Whereas with those sorts of cards, or, high grade vintage cards, for those sorts of cards, you just have to pay a premium. There's just not that much of it out there. So if you want a particular card, it just doesn't pop up very much. You might only have one shot a year, every couple years to get one. So maybe you splurge and you have to pay kind of that premium for it. A lot of the cards I buy are not mega rare. They're semi-rare and they are popular cards. And I'll show a couple cards from the National that are kind of examples of this. So this is a card I picked up at the National. It's an 86 Fleer sticker Jordan BGS 8.5 with subgrades on the back. This is a card I've been targeting for a long time, really. I mean, this is one of those ones that chased as a kid, could never really, ever afford it, not even in a million years. So, you're 40 years old, you got a few bucks, and now you can afford to kind of go after some of these things. This was kind of one of those big time purchases for me that I was just happy to get because it was one of those cards that I've been wanting for a long time. Is this a rare card? No, it's not. 86 Fleer is a huge set. It's an iconic basketball set. This, as a whole, is an iconic card. I mean, a PSA 10 of this card carries a huge premium, or a BGS 10 or an SGC 10 or whatever. Huge premiums for the most pristine grades of this. But is it difficult to find? No, it's not. So, for the cards that I'm really looking at, here's another example. This is my modern example I got at the National. Luka Doncic, PSA 10 Silver Prism. There's about 2,100 of these on the Pop Report. So, again, can you find them out there? Yeah, you can. But is it super common and is it super inexpensive? No, it's not. So it's kind of it's been a chase card for me. At the same time, though, a lot of the cards I'm looking for, and even for vintage, it might be mid-grade vintage. So I'm not looking for a PSA 8 Jim Brown, where it's going to be 25 grand or whatever those are going for. Not at this stage anyway, not at this stage. So for those sorts of cards, they're always kind of available. I think it was maybe Mike Moynihan from Bench Clear Media. I heard him say something similar to this effect. He is collecting a lot of mid-grade, lower to mid-grade cards of important cards, Hall of Famers, a lot of baseball stuff. But it's not stuff that's widely unavailable. If you go to the National especially, there is a lot of vintage at the National, a lot of everything at the National, but there's cards that you think, man, like the Bart Starr rookie card that I was after. You just don't see them pop up on eBay that much. But man, when you go to the National, you see a fair amount of those. Johnny Unitas rookie card. Whatever the case may be, a lot of stuff is less scarce, rare than you think that it might be. So I've just kind of questioned that. And so where I'm really looking at is for the next 6 months, I'm going to focus around my PC player, Drew Brees, and it's going to be cards like this. Like I like 2014-15 football. I love the look of this set, just the way that it's designed and everything else. I love a lot of the Topps Chrome Refractor stuff. This is a fairly inexpensive card. Drew Brees, he's not really on the radar right now. I'm a massive New Orleans Saints fan, so it's my PC player. So what I'm probably looking to do here over the next 6 months is kind of my timeline, is just focus on my PC player. It won't be any massive cards because I want to wait. So like an example of a card I want of Breeze is a Topps Chrome Refractor rookie card. PSA 9 would be ideal, or an SGC 9, or, a 9. If I can get into a 9, a nice looking 9, that would be awesome. One of my kind of grail cards would be that black prism, the Topps Chrome black that's numbered out of 100. I talked about that a few months ago. I missed on a BGS 9.5 because I was, bidding 2,000. It went up to 5,500. But again, 5,500, it is a lot of money, but it's still within striking range. If I can put some cards together, it's possible for me to attain that card. Whereas a $25,000 card, I'd have to put a lot of things together. And do I even really want to do that? Probably not. So but that's a card that I want to wait on. So like that Topps Chrome Refractor, PSA 9 or SGC 9 or whatever, it's numbered out of 999, numbered out of 1,000 or 999. It's not mega scarce, but it's also not widely available either. I want to wait until really as we get closer to summertime. Summertime in general is good. It's a good time to buy cards typically. And then I also think that the National, this is kind of my bold take, I think that the National 2023 is going to look more similar to the National 2019 than we've seen in years. You know, we've had a lot of excitement. There's a lot of corporate presence that's come in now. But from a pricing standpoint, I just think with everything going on with kind of global economy, the way that it is a little bit stagnant, I do think that prices do continue to move downward. And again, if we're talking about the high end stuff, if we're talking about Black Finite 101, and we're talking about Gold Prism for the modern stuff, high-end vintage, that stuff is going to continue to set highs. You know, if someone puts up a 52 Topps Mantle PSA 10, it's probably going to break a record. So there will still be highs that happen. There will be these record prices. It will happen, but it's just, to me, in my opinion, it's not going to be on a lot of kind of these middle tier, these, you know, these $50,000 cards, these $100,000 cards, $20,000 cards. I think that that's kind of a slow trajectory down. And again, it's going to depend on the card, the player. This is a very nuanced hobby. You never know what sort of narrative is behind any sort of player, team, whatever the case may be, set. You know, so you never really know. But I think just as a whole, a lot of what kind of flew up into the high end is going to come back down to more of the middle tier, and some of that middle tier more lower to mid. And so I think it's going to look more like 2018, frankly. When I got back in, what we're seeing now is there's just not as much velocity in cards. You're not seeing the movement. Where I really started to see that was in the fall of 2019, when Mahomes and Luka were really doing their thing. And that's when I really saw pricing start to move up. Then we got into 2020, pandemic time. Then everyone's at home. Then you get the boom. You get the stimulus money. There was a big pop in August. And then there was another massive pop in February. So you're talking here, there's about 12 months between August of 19, or about 18 months, August of 19 through March 2021, where we were kind of living in kind of the elation bubble, where everybody was all about sports cards, and pricing, just that demand curve was like, beep, and pricing went straight up. And now we're starting to get kind of closer back to where we were. If you're looking at a lot of like pre-pandemic pricing, you can look at that. You can look at historical data, take a look at it across the board, and really sports cards as a whole fairly stagnant for decades. Okay. You had like a 2016 vintage pop, but outside of that, 2019 fall to March 2021 was kind of the big anomaly. Doesn't mean that sports cards were never popular. No, of course not. It doesn't mean that it was never investable. For certain cards, it certainly was, but the idea that we have got like these ebbs and flows in the sports card market, it depends on how you define ebbs and flows, because really, if you look at the graphs, it's kind of more of like straight across bump, big bump, and then we've kind of come back down. Seeing the same thing in other asset classes. So this isn't a knock on just sports cards. Look at crypto. Crypto is kind of a similar deal. It's like, burp, boink, burp, airplane noises. So fairly common across the board. It's just kind of a contraction. And so for me, for the next 6 months, it's just going to be breeze PC stuff. And look, if there's something that pops up that's just an amazing deal, I'll jump on. I'll consider it for sure. But I want to try to be really, really disciplined with the idea that if I can just be really disciplined, get through to the summer, and then leading up to that national, I want to be well funded for that time frame, because I think that there's going to be some really, really nice buying opportunities. And not to say that there's not buying opportunities now, because there are. I think that there definitely are. But I just want to be patient. I want to kind of get my house in order, try to get kind of my financials in order so that I can make some really nice plays as we get kind of more into the middle of 2023. Now, of course, this could completely backfire. It's like, what's the downside of this? Oh, well, maybe the Fed is like, you know what? We've raised interest rates enough and we're just going to chill, which causes kind of the economy to react to where they're like, oh, okay, we're done raising rates. Now we're all optimistic again, and prices start to move up, and it kind of blows up in my face. It could very well happen. There's no guarantee that there's any sort of recession on the horizon, or depression or whatever. There's a lot of calls, a lot of people are trying to call it. A lot of people are like, oh man, trying to call the bottoms and everything. The bottoms in 2023 is 2024. Maybe not. We just don't really know. And so that's kind of my game plan. I want to see what a lot of these cards that I really like, that are iconic in some ways. An 86 Fleer Michael Jordan mid-grade rookie card, I would love to have one. That's an example of a card that is widely available. They're out there, especially you go to the National. How many did you see at the National if you went there? a lot. There's just a lot of that card. So do I want that card? Yeah, but do I want to buy it now, or do I want to just continue? Like, what's going to make that thing boom in the next 6 months in my mind? For me, I'm willing to risk it. I'm willing to risk that price point on a nice looking PSA 5 or PSA 6 or SGC 4 or, BGS, whatever. I think that there's going to be an opportunity. And so I'm not in a big hurry. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on this. What is your strategy at this point? Are you in buy mode right now? And there's no right or wrong answer to this. Are you in sell mode right now? Are you in buy, sell mode? I still think there's a lot of opportunities. And there's so many different pockets, people that are working in the quarter boxes and dollar boxes and are flipping cards. That's all happening on a daily basis. People that are buying raw, grading, turning it over, doing great, doing with that. So it's like, there is no right or wrong to this. There is no all cards are going down, everything is going to hell. That's just not reality. There are people that are doing very well in this market. And so it just depends on kind of how you're operating, where you're operating, and so forth. Thanks again, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will see you next time.